Before the events of Order 66, Grandmaster Yoda was one of the, if not the most powerful being in the entire galaxy due to him living for almost 900 years at the time of the Clone Wars. But after Order 66 was activated, he was forced to duel Palpatine and lost his encounter with him. After that, Yoda would go into exile on the planet of Dagobah, where he would stay there for the rest of his life, where neither the Empire nor any surviving Jedi would ever find him, which was his initial plan to stay secluded from the galaxy, because he felt like he had failed the Jedi and the galaxy as a whole, due to him letting the Sith return. In today's video, I'll be discussing every time that Yoda was discovered on the planet of Dagobah. But before we get on to that, we should probably talk about why Yoda chose Dagobah instead of literally any other planet in the entire galaxy. During the Clone Wars, Yoda would go on a journey to learn the key to immortality led by the ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. While on the journey, his search would lead him to the planet of Dagobah, and while there, he would realize it has an unusual connection to the Force. It was said that Dagobah was extremely connected to the dark side of the Force, and due to this natural connection of the dark side, it made it very easy to mask his connection to the light side of the Force, which is one of the reasons Palpatine never sensed him on Dagobah. But with that out of the way, let's continue on with the video, starting off with the time a probe droid discovered Yoda's location in Star Wars Tales comics. Sometime after the rise of the Empire, a Star Destroyer would be flying over the emptiness of space, firing out probe droids to multiple planets in an attempt to locate any rebel faction or base. But one of the planets that the probe droid would land on would be the swamp world known as Dagobah. As a probe droid lands on the swamp planet, it would instantly begin its search for any rebel activity. While on the planet, the probe droid would manage to locate Master Yoda from afar, and Yoda, sensing that the droid was following him, decides to set up a trap for it, setting his lightsaber on a rock. And as the droid came closer to Grandmaster Yoda, Yoda would turn on his lightsaber using the Force and destroy the droid by cutting it in half. Aboard the Star Destroyer hovering above the planet, an officer would tell the Admiral that they have received a transmission showing that one of the probe droids was destroyed. As the officer showed the Admiral the destroyed picture of the lightsaber, the Admiral dismissed it as lightning and went so far the officer to destroy the image, not wanting Darth Vader to see any failures. At number 2, we have a very well-known encounter between Yoda and Starkiller, or otherwise known as Galen Merrick. Starkiller would discover Yoda on the planet of Dagobah when he was drawn to the planet by the Force to a dark side nexus to find his true identity. After locating the cave, Starkiller would find Yoda sitting in front of the cave, but unlike his other previous encounters with Luke Skywalker, Yoda was not acting crazy, due to him sensing the immense power of the dark side within Galen Merrick, and saw this as an opportunity to help him bring him to the light side of the Force. When Starkiller asked Yoda if he was a guardian, Yoda replied that he was merely just a watcher, and after Starkiller felt the immense power of the dark side of the Force within the cave, he began to have a deep fear of Yoda, due to Yoda not having any reaction to the immense power of the cave. It seems as if Yoda wasn't even affected by it. After this encounter, Starkiller would go to have two conclusions, one of them being that Yoda was so powerful in the dark side of the Force that he drove himself insane, or that Yoda was so powerful in the light side of the Force that he was unaffected by the dark side. But no matter the reason, he never returned to the planet out of fear of Yoda. And at number 3, we have the most well-known one, the time where Luke Skywalker discovered Yoda on Dagobah. After the events of A New Hope, Luke would go on the journey to locate Grandmaster Yoda in an attempt to be trained in the ways of the Jedi. There she would meet Yoda, who at first acted like a crazy fool in an attempt to test Luke's patience, but after Obi-Wan convinced Yoda to train him, Yoda would give Luke a chance and train him in the ways of the Force. But after Luke left to go save his friends on Cloud City, Yoda realized that Luke was very similar to his father in both the good and bad ways, but still trained him reluctantly, until Yoda would go on to die on Dagobah. Next up on the list, we have a rebel historian who goes by the name of Arhul Hextron. Arhul was someone who was very interested in the Jedi, and while he had very little knowledge about the Jedi Order, he never stopped trying to learn about it. Long before Luke ever joined the rebels, Arhul would actually be a very important person in locating Obi-Wan Kenobi. During his time as a historian, he would research ancient recordings of Old Republic files. He would collect a ton of data and information on Grandmaster Yoda, so much so that he was able to pinpoint the exact location of where Yoda would be hiding. And once he went to the planet of Dagobah, he would easily be able to locate Yoda. But not wanting to be discovered, Yoda would put on the act of a crazed hermit, trying to fool Arhul into leaving. Not giving up so easily, Arhul would be persistent and insist that he knows who the Grandmaster Yoda is. This would continue on for several days, with Yoda not budging, but eventually Yoda would tell him the truth, and after telling him the truth, Yoda would begin to wonder if he should erase the historian's memory. But after seeing how scared Arhul was when he found out he might have his memory erased, he realized that it was not the Jedi way to inflict pain or fear onto any life forms. Then, for several days, Yoda would tell Arhul many things about the Jedi, and after Arhul left, he would erase all the information about the planet and Yoda, but not his personal notes. At our final spot on this list is when Madeline's son, an ancient archivist of the dark side of the Force, located Yoda. After Order 66 came and all Jedi and Sith artifacts were banned throughout the entire galaxy, her life was saved by Kira, who offered her a mission. She tells Madeline that the death of Grandmaster Yoda was never publicly stated, and she wants Madeline to track down Yoda. And after following many leads, her search leads her to the planet of Dagobah. And after being attacked attacked on the planet, she is forced to run into a dark side cave. And after she left the cave, she realized that her skin changed to be extremely pale. She was also missing one of her pupils, then decides that she needed to leave the planet immediately. But only after leaving, she realized that it was Master Yoda who was teaching her a lesson through the Force. It is unknown, however, if she actually did meet Yoda in person, but I will count this anyway because she did come close enough and technically did communicate with Yoda in a way. There also was a time where Darth Vader and Princess Leia would discover Yoda on Dagobah in a comic book, but that comic book is not canon or legends and is simply just a scenario. And with that, we have talked about every time Yoda was discovered on the planet of Dagobah. I really hope you enjoyed this video about talking about Yoda. I feel like he's such an interesting character to cover. Also, thank you so much for the continued support. We've actually hit 500 subscribers. I never thought we'd hit it this fast, so honestly, I just want to thank you so much. And with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.